Hello BookTube, it's Louise the Big Head Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you are well. Hope you're having a good day. I'm here to go through some of the books that I have been reading recently so that I can do my large monthly wrap up at the end of this week, beginning of next week. First of all, I'll start with some parish notices. The pub would like to say a big thank you for everybody that came to the meat raffle that they held yesterday, and to take this opportunity to say sorry yet again that there wasn't a meat raffle yesterday. It was unavoidable circumstances, but they do plan to hold another in the future. I think it's time therefore to give a big shout out to Davy for stepping into the breach with that fascinating and impromptu presentation on meat preparation. I don't think anybody expected that. He was insightful and detailed, and I think there are images that are going to live long in all of our memories, especially regarding sausage creation. So thanks again, Davy. The booktuber that I would like to highlight today is Sophie from Portal in the Pages. As always, I shall leave her channel name in the description of the video, but it's Sophie from Portal in the Pages. Now, I think she only does read adult books. At the moment, she's focusing on the long list of the Man Booker International Prize, if that's what it's called. So I think she's a phenomenal person with just such an interesting selection of books that she reads. She's also very good at the fact that she does discussion videos with such elegance and intelligence. I admire her greatly, and I would, if you don't already follow her, then please do. And say hello from me, Louise, the Big Head Bookworm, and send her my love, because I think she's grand. She really is very good. Another parish notice, Kimberly Rose asked me whether I had done the junk food tag, which has recently been resurrected on Steve Donahue's channel, where he's done the lost tapes. No, I haven't done it, Kimberly, but I will do it. I shall have a look through and find it and do it. And maybe, I know Steve does a lot of tags, so I shall have a look through his back catalogue and hopefully I'll be inspired there. If there are any other tags that people think would be a good one to have a go at, or that they've done themselves, please would you put it down in the comments so that I can find them. And the last parish notice, before that this is all parish notices, is to remind everybody that handbell ringing is continuing over the Easter period. Derek's not going on his canal boat holiday this year. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody after what happened last year. I don't think Nancy's got over the shock. So it's 10 to 12, handbell ringing on a Tuesday morning in the church. New members always welcome. Okay, so now let's talk about the books that I have read recently. So the first book I haven't got to show you, I can pretend, because it's gone back to the library, and that's A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. It's the second book by Becky Chambers. She wrote The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I basically got this so I did, have something to show you. But it's the second book, set in the same universe. It's a science fiction book. It's this one was very much kind of a space opera, but looking at the species of the people in the space, looking at kind of the relationships and how everybody gets on, and just such a fascinating, wonderful, involved story that I was absolutely thrilled to see A Closed and Common Orbit at the library, even though I wasn't planning on taking anything out at the time. So I grabbed it and I lapped it up. It's not as good as this one, not as good. It is a smaller story, so whereas this had a vast array of characters, this one has a limited number. It talks an awful lot about what is identity and soul, looking at artificial intelligence, AI, and also how we personalise it, and is it possible that the personification of it, do we impose that on it, or is it something that can actually grow from the actual AI itself? So it's fascinating in that. I feel that you can tell with this book that she'd worked on it a long time, then it had so much depth, and this book I just thought was absolutely superb. It's the book that has so closely reminded me of Ian Banks' Culture novels, which is a science fiction series which I revere. I mean, I absolutely love. So if you liked this, then check out Ian M. Banks. And again, the second one, A Closed and Common Orbit, again reminded me of the same Ian M. Banks. But there are themes that he did in there that she did in there that I have read in either Ian M. Banks or other people that have done them better. It felt that the characters were very lightly drawn, which was surprising because they were so well developed in this one. I felt it was a lot thinner. I still enjoyed it. I still raced through it, but my expectations were very high and it didn't meet them. It didn't meet them. I think it's perfectly possible to read this as a standalone and be utterly satisfied, only if you feel that you really want to carry on. I mean, it is still good, but yeah, I was left a little disappointed, but maybe that's my expectations. The next book I read, or one of the other books I've read, is A Time to Keep Silence by Patrick Leigh Fermor. It's a very lovely, slim book. It's 3 essays. The first one is the longest, and then the next 2 are not so long. Written in the 1950s by Patrick Leigh Fermor, about 2 separate stays in monasteries in France, and then a third visit to a deserted monastery in the wilds of Turkey. It wasn't formally created as a book. A lot of it's taken from letters that he wrote at the time when he was actually staying at it, so there is an immediacy. It's a very slim book, and yet I took a long time to read it, not because it was anything wrong with the book, just I wanted to savour each sentence in this book. It is beautiful. Not for everybody. It isn't going to be for everybody's taste, but it reminded me of the richness and the complexity of language, how he chose each word so perfectly. I mean, you just wanted to stop and savour how he created it. Now, I don't tend to look up words when I'm reading. I mean, the majority of books, I never have to kind of worry about what a word means because I would know it anyway. And yet I kept looking up words, not because I felt like I wanted to know what they meant, because of course I more often knew, or they were it was a word that I could work out what it was trying to say. But I wanted to understand why he chose that particular word, because it would have a nuanced meaning to it, which just gave the book so much more flavour. I mean, I could just do an entire half an hour on this book alone, and it's so slim. The first essay novel, the first part of it is him staying with in a Benedictine monastery, and it gives a lot of history about how the Benedictine order was formed and developed and how it coped through all the ages, which is fascinating itself, and I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, so that's why I don't believe it is for anybody. But how he describes it, the words that he uses were just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It just stunned me, and it really made me gasp at times. So that's A Time to Keep Silence by Patrick Leigh Fermor. It will be a book that I will return to again and again. Maybe not the whole of it, maybe not the last part, but the first part especially, just glorious. So there we go. That was a hit, as you can tell. My other tremendous hit, again a slim book, is Hermann Hesse Siddhartha. So this is a classic that I hadn't read, and she mentioned it, Susan Hill mentioned it in her Howard's End is on the Landing, and I thought, I haven't read it, I really want to read it. It's a fictionalised idea of a Buddha's existence before it becomes, the disciple becomes Buddha, but it isn't actually Buddha. I thought it was based on Buddha's life, and obviously it is, but it's not saying that Siddhartha, this one, becomes Buddha, if that makes sense. That was very clumsily said, but so it's very fictionalized, because he's not a prince, whereas Buddha was a prince. This is Ibrahim's son, so he's a learned scholar's son in that caste in India. Anyway, so it's a philosophical book looking at taking examples from Buddha's life and examining them in greater detail, even though it is quite slight, and weaving the story through it so that you can see the trials that he goes through and the different parts of life and how you may gain understanding and enlightenment in a spiritual sense through different events. And picking up on some Buddhist principles and weaving it through continuously. Just wonderful. Written in a very simple tone, so there's nothing complicated. I'd read a book where it was rich and full of words that were, you know, nuanced meanings, and then this was such a simple tone and a simple read, and like all of those books, it was so much more powerful because of that. It would be easy to fly through it and go, yeah, that was quite an interesting tale, but actually when you stopped and felt about what was the meaning behind what they were trying to, what the life was going to mean, and how it may impact you now. Again, such a slim book, but it took me some time to read it, and I have thought so much since it. I completely understand why this is a masterpiece. I completely understand why this is a classic that people refer to and again, and I was just so glad that I picked it up and I read it. I also had a lovely moment. This is a second-hand copy that I ordered in from the marketplace, and look, can you see it's got a dedication to Can, with my eternal love, Bill. Isn't that lovely? Obviously Can wasn't that keen on Bill and has given the book, or perhaps has mislaid it, or perhaps something's happened, but there's just a story there, isn't there? It's with my eternal love, Bill. I was just quite... It's made this book so much more precious. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and I will read it again, and there are parts of it I have since have read it. I've gone back and just read it again. But even with that dedication, it's made it even more lovely. So there we go. I think, actually, BookTube, I'm going to leave it there. So that's only 3 books I've told you about, but they were powerful ones. So, A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. Nah. I enjoyed it, but I've seen it done better. A Time to Keep Silence by Patrick Fermor. Oh, blown away by it. And similarly, blown away by Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. So there we go. It was quite a slim one, wasn't it? But we'll leave it there because I've been rambling on. It's lovely to see you, BookTube. Hope you are well, and I look forward to doing this again sometime. Bye!